the disciples saw a man who was blind, I guess, and they say, whose fault was it?
Right.
This the passage
Yep.
you're referring to.
Yep.
Whose fault was this? Did he sin, or was it his parents that sinned that he was born blind? And Jesus says, no, you guys don't get it. Neither one. Neither one. It doesn't have anything to do with the way you're thinking. And then, do you remember what he says next?
I don't remember. What is
This is a bomb.
Okay, let's
It's
hear
a bomb. He was born blind that the glory of God may be displayed in him.
Gotcha.
And man, I meditated on that. It's like, wow, think about that. You mean this person was born with this incapacitation, which would have been devastating in that culture. He can't work. He's totally dependent on other people. So that God would receive glory. Now we think, oh, well, he did a miracle and he gave his sight. And no, he was born blind. We're reading about this story in the scriptures right now. We're realizing, wait a minute, that guy's whole life was so that the truth about God could be revealed? Yes. And I'm all for that. See, go ahead, Lord, take my life and let your truth be revealed no matter what.
And it's also kind of like a responsibility that, like, you know what I mean? Like, where it's just like, look at somebody that's living in a condition that I couldn't even understand. Right. I couldn't even fathom with not having sight, or not being able to hear, or not being able to talk, or not being able to walk. And it's just like, that's a responsibility for us to actually use our gifts the right way, you know?
Yeah. And when God allows trials into our lives, let them be used for the glory of God. Just Joni Erickson Tata came into my mind. She's a woman who was paralyzed at 18 years of age. She lived all her life in a wheelchair, paraplegic. Quadriplegic. Yeah. And she totally praises God every day and honors God every day, and been used mightily by God, has written books and done a lot of stuff. But she'd be a good example of you could go miserable for the rest of your life, and she did for a while, and she wondered why this happened to her, but she finally realized, no, this is for God's glory, and that's for the rest of us. No matter what's into our lives, it can be used for God's glory if we submit it to God.
Yeah, that's so important, because it's an option, right? So when that happened to Johnny, and she was very angry at God, because she was a person of faith, and continued that way for a while. But the Lord was ministering to her through this, and no one would wish that for themselves, and no one would wish that on somebody else. But God redeemed it. Well, how? Again, this goes back to what we're talking about. All the stuff that the rich young ruler was holding on to is temporary. Right. Our bodies are temporary. I believe that when you're dead, you're dead. That's what my grandfather believed. He was hoping that was the case. Yeah. I think a lot of other people are hoping that it's the case too. But we don't know that. So I guess what we're saying is what if what the Bible is saying, what Christ is saying, is true?
Right.
We have to take that into consideration. What if? Because we don't know. So we have to ponder that a little bit, I think.
Because we don't know if we'll have tomorrow, so
no.
We need to live for Christ. Even at work today, I found out a supervisor went into the hospital yesterday, and put him on an IV, and he made a cardiac arrest and died. 69 years of age, just like that, gone. And he's worked right up to now. See, you don't know.
Right.
You don't know when your time is up. Any of us don't know we have tomorrow, so that's why we're called to live for God today.
I think that's the thing about Jesus, that after learning a little bit about other faiths and other religions and other beliefs, like Jesus, if what is claiming to be true is true, and it is the truth, and that's the point about it, where it's just like you listen to the words and you listen to what happened, and these people, like this book we're reading right now, like just for the context of it, like these guys, a lot of these early Christians, they died, for the faith. And so that's kind of the thing, where it's just like, this isn't just a story about a good person, because I've heard that before, that Jesus is a good person, or he's just some guy that was a prophet, or he's just this, or he's just that. His claim is that he was God, and he was sent here to redeem us back to glory and back to a relationship. Right. And so if this guy is dying for us and he's holy, then that washes his believers clean. And if you're not believing in that, he can't force you to. So you're not partaking in the
It's
gift.
your choice.
And that's the scary part, where it's like he's claiming he rose from the dead. So it's just like, I'm trusting that guy. You know what I mean? It's like I'm trusting him.
Yeah.
You know, there's nobody else in the history of mankind that has this resume, because he's God, and this is the truth, and this is what happened, and this is what will come later in the
But you're
prophecy.
speaking as a person of faith,
Yeah.
and we share that faith. So if somebody's watching this and they think, well, that's a statement of faith, you can't prove that. And that's exactly right. But that's the whole point. Can you prove anything? The only things you can prove, to one degree or another, are the things that you can wrap your mind around or sense with your senses.
Right.
And so everything that we're talking about in every religion is predicated on the idea that that's not all there is. There's more going on here than what we understand.
Right.
I remember when I got to that point in my life, I was very young, it was years later before the Lord actually brought me to himself. It's the first question I started asking is, there's got to be something more going on here
Right.
than just what I can sense and what I can experience.
You're talking about like, there's more to life than just
There's
this.
not just more to life.
Yeah.
Like, I want different circumstances in my life.
Right.
There has to be something happening here, something deeper, something
More meaningful?
going on that
Yeah.
more meaningful that
Right.
I'm not seeing. There's got to
Right.
be something I'm not seeing here, because
Yep.
this can't be all that there is.
Mhm.